Khalil. My pronouns are he, him. I am one of the OC organizing committee members for the NYCDSA chapter of the Afro Socialist Color. So glad to be here with y'all. I'm also on the National Executive Committee for the National Caucus. So for some folks who may be new to the caucus, a lot of what we are about is bringing more BIPOC folks into the socialist movement and DSA. We also want to advance a perspective rooted in anti-racism and elevating socials of color within DSA. And we also want to be, communities for comrades of color to connect and be in solidarity. So some of the folks have been introducing themselves in the chat. Some of the voting rules, you have to be a member of the caucus to vote. And you can do different motions with regards to different proposals. Any motion made must have a second, and then you do up and down. We're going to move into community agreements. So the first one is one mic. So can't talk all over each other. If you want to speak, stack in the chat. You do that by typing stack. And whoever's taking stack will order who speaks at a given time, so folks aren't just unmuting on top of each other. Now the community agreement is oops, ouch. So if you do or say something that is foul, taken with great offense by another comrade, acknowledge it. With like oops, ouch. Assume good faith but challenge. So we are all comrades engaged in the struggle, against white supremacy, against capitalism, and so when you're discussing, debating, assume that your comrades are engaging in good faith, but you're afraid to challenge folks' ideas and perspectives. Avoid jargon and acronyms. So that's something I personally work on. So if you are discussing a given thing, if it needs a little definition, define the thing, describe the thing, don't assume. So when I mention OC, like, oh, organizing committee, what these acronyms are. All right, so we're gonna dive right in. I believe we're starting out with presentation discussion from Justice for João Pedro, in Brazil. He's going to be speaking on that.
Excuse me, Khalil, I just wanted to see the agenda because I didn't have the chance to see the agenda. And I'd like to put I didn't see if the proposal I sent to the organizing committee, since OC, was put on the agenda earlier today or yesterday.
Okay. All right, give us a moment. I'm pulling up the agenda and we can have your proposal and brief added on to the latter part, but just give me a moment to add to the agenda and we will address that after the current presentation.
Well, where can we put it? Can I put a motion that we put it at the beginning then? And could it be second?
Can we do that? My Robert's rules be rusty. I know that if we extend the agenda, we have to vote for extend time or cut time from something else. So is there anything that we'd want to take time off of to add this to the agenda, or if not, would folks be willing to vote to extend? We're already, I think, kind of behind time, so I don't want to lose too much on this.
Well, if you could drop the agenda so we can look at it, and because
Here's the agenda.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I see it now.
Okay, so are we gonna, okay, how should we do this, my fellow
Well,
fellows? Should we vote on this and have him
I
speak
have
now
asked.
and then carry forth with the Justice for João Pedro thing? What should we do?
Theo put forward a motion to talk about his proposal first, and I did not hear a second on that. Would anyone like to second his proposal?
We couldn't hear you, Jazz, and you were supposed to call me in the last 30 days. That's why I have to push the proposal now and ask Comrade to talk about it, because these are billions of dollars that affect POC people.
Okay, so Theo put forward a proposal. Is there anyone who's seconding his motion?
So, okay, you're at the agenda. We do have an agenda. If possible, like maybe 5 minutes can be given to this tacked on the end, but I would want to, we're losing a lot of time. Oh, wait, are we seconding for it being put at the end of an agenda or to do now?
Okay, that was a second in favor of having it forward in the beginning.
Sorry about that.
Okay, so with that, we are calling a vote to have Theo's agenda item. The motion for is to have Theo's agenda item discussed first in the meeting. All in favor, please vote in the chat with yes or no. And if you're calling from your phone, please just verbally say yes or no.
Aren't we supposed to have a quick discussion on whether yes or no?
Okay.
Yes.
Keep it very short. And keep it very short. Your motion in favor, rather than at towards the end or in the latter parts of the meeting.
Yes, I'm putting this motion forward because I have asked time DSA to look up at the relationship between nonprofit, and basically I'm asking the Afro-Socialist Caucus discuss the motion that is not that I sent the organizing committee about starting a working group, not a working to start an investigation between our relation of DSA and the rest of the nonprofit out there, because they are using it to steal millions of dollars through the housing project from people of color and Latinos. I have invited here some people to talk about it, like Ms. Bloodman, Mel, and other comrade to discuss their own situation, and that's why this this proposal would need to be put on the agenda. I have been told to talk to Jazz. I sent Jazz this month all the documentation, and he has not responded in 30 days on this. So I feel like I have no other option than put it on the floor.
All right, I put Theo's proposal for us to discuss into the chat, and anyone to speak against Theo's proposal going first in the discussion? All right, Robert, there's no one else speaking right now, so you go ahead.
Thank you, Jazz, and thank you, Theo, for actually putting your ideas into a proposal. But one of the problems with this proposal is that prior to you putting it into a proposal, you were in many ways speaking about this issue in many DSA forums in a manner so uncommonly to other members of DSA that you've gotten yourself banned from those lists and have even had your access to our own Afro-Socialist Slack restricted. And I think that if this is an issue, it should have someone less tainted than yourself putting it forward so we get clarity. And the other problem is that as you raise these issues, you don't raise them in a coherent manner. and we should discuss this, but it comes forward as in not that there's issues that would be harmful towards DSA fulfilling their mission, but rather that there's like personal issues with Sia Weaver, personal issues with this person or that person. So morally, as the Afro Socialist Caucus, I don't understand that we have a CLC, a representative to the Central Leadership Council, and that Jazz is a Central Leadership Council rep from the Bronx Upper Manhattan branch. So I don't even know that this motion you're putting forward is necessarily in order with this caucus. With all those concerns put forward, I would say that this is not our business. It's would mark us badly to have our name associated with it.
Okay, heard discussion in favor and discussion against. So now we can move on to a vote on whether we would like to discuss this at the beginning of the meeting or towards the end. All in favor of discussing this now, please type a yes into the chat, or if you're calling in from your phone, please verbally state yes.
Yes. Yes.
Robert, the fact that you are using me and saying certain things, I appreciate that you say the way I express myself. I do have some mental issues and I cannot express myself correctly in a big group, and saying that you do not want to take a fight that is affecting so many New Yorkers and you attacking the way I express myself, this is uncamaradely, even though I do not speak right. I did not put anyone from DSA in this motion forward. That you talked about Sia Weaver, and you said that it is, I am sorry, but this was uncamaradly called for. Jazz, you had the responsibility to look at this for the last 30 days, and there are people who are being made homeless because of this issue. And anyway, that's what I wanted to answer to the fact that I cannot speak correctly. I'm sorry.
Well, we're still in the middle of a vote.
Yes, I know we are in the middle of a vote, but Robert Robert used a certain way to describe me that was not cool. Basically, that's all I wanted to say about that, because the proposal, I send it to you by email and say this is the first time sending it correctly. Nobody from AfroSoc ever proposed me and say, hey, Theo, would you like me to help you write the thing? No. They said, anyway, I'm pissed.
Sorry about that. I just want to get through this vote so that we can keep carrying on in the agenda, because we have a lot to talk about tonight.
I believe because of the abstentions that actually passes. So with that said, we will put this forward at the beginning. We will have, how much time do you want to take on this?
I leave Robert to decide, but I think 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes or 20 minutes, depending how many people are here, because I know there are many victims like me that are invited to talk and to testify how important this issue is, and we're being robbed and violated every day. So I leave the organizing committee to find the best place to put this important issue.
Okay, again, I'm dropping the proposal into the chat one more time for everyone who has not seen it yet. Let's take 2 minutes for you to introduce this and 5 minutes to discuss. Does that sound good?
Yes.
All right, you may proceed.
This is a simple solution asking for DSA, for the New York City DSA, to recognize that there is a problem with the HPD third-party transfer, TPT, which is done by the City of New York, where they transfer building for $1 to private and to for-profit and for non-profit developer and contractor. Those for-profit and non-for-profit contractor basically runs the tab on construction, on unnecessary construction in buildings that are majority held by Black people and Latin people and POC of lower education. Basically, those architects come in and add a lot of loan into the building to do repairs, and after that the tenants are not able to sustain the rent because they cannot pay for the loan, and therefore 20 years or 30 years down the road they are basically foreclosed on yield of money that they save into this building. The resolution called for federal elected comrade, for example, Bowman, AOC, and things like that, to use their power within the justice system to see how the Section 8 subsidy that are used by developer to pay for those repair are being used, and to launch an investigation into them. They're doing it within NYCHA HPD. This resolution also asks our state elected comrade, the one like Jabari Bridgeport, our comrade Jabari, our comrade, to use their power to call upon the Attorney General to look into neighborhood restore. Because when the city takes the building, it gives it to a nonprofit, which is Neighborhood Restore, and then Neighborhood Restore gives that building to nonprofit like Riceboro, like HLM developer, et cetera, without looking after what happened then. And the last part of the resolution is to request to add the platform for the city council comrade to add the lack of transparency. So to put in the platform of DSA that the city council running for city council will look into the lack of transparency and accountability into HPD, DHS, and NYCHA, because it affects primary person of color and Latinx. And lastly, many of our comrades unfortunately don't realize, but they sign work for those nonprofit, and the resolution asks that DSA create an investigative task force inside DSA to look how our relationship with those housing developer and contractor actually happen.
I'm sorry, Theo, your time. Thank you.
Thank you. So please vote yes.
Okay. Awesome. So I think it might actually be better to redo the vote. So if there could be, could either Jazz or Robert be a counter and track the names for the folks who are going to be doing both voice votes of yes or no, and then and keep track.
No, we're here on the discussion already. Just go through until we're voting on whether to endorse this or not.
Yeah. So yeah, Jazz, could you help out with that?
We're not re-voting until we're doing until we're doing a vote on the motion. So let's just continue with discussion for now.
Okay, we're continuing discussion. Okay, does anyone want to get unstacked for discussion?
If you'd like to say something about this proposal, just say Stack if you're on the phone or write Stack in the chat. All right, Mel.
Hi. So we're talking about what's going on, right, as far as housing and the concerns that Theo raised as far as the corruption and collusions. I myself, I'm a Brooklynite all my life, and unfortunately, all the tax or our own tax dollars are being used to push us out of the neighborhood that we are invested in. We have all these properties that are claimed to be affordable, which are not affordable. You know, I lived in an HDFC that was poorly managed and ran into foreclosure by a CBO. And after continuous violations, HPD allowed them a third-party transfer, which shows collusion because the transaction was not at arm's length. The same people that managed us into foreclosure are now the same people that own us, which raises the question, if they weren't good enough to manage us, how are they good enough to own us, right? You know, a lot of opportunities to be homeowners in a thriving neighborhood that is now untouchable. You know, I can't go into Bushwick where I live and grew up and invested in this community and afford to be a homeowner now when a two bedroom condo is 150 million. That's 750 million thousand for one bedroom, right, per bedroom. My opportunity was stolen and given this company named Riseboro, who happens to be the largest property owner in Bushwick and growing. And they're expanding out of Bushwick, and they're going to continue to do these things unless they get checked. You know, in a court case that Anne-Marie Henderson brought developer Stephen Dunn, they catch Miss Henderson shaking down Stephen Dunn for hundreds of thousands of dollars, and yet no charges were filed against her. Yet she continues to, you know, be at the top of HPD with this lack of oversight, right? So how could we allow this to happen, you know, to our POC people? You know, how could this issue not be raised as a Black Lives Matter movement when you're stealing the opportunity for generational wealth? Because the city gives us the message that it's okay for us to rent here, but we can't own here. And on top of that, I like to add that the AMI affects us tremendously because there's programs for seniors and people on disability. And we're telling a senior citizen that's retired that if they make over $50,000, they do not qualify for this benefit, when in fact, you should be making $50,000 minimum wage to live in New York City. So that also sends the message that when we're done slaving to these institutions, we gotta get the F out of New York because we can't afford to live here. So that's my story, and this is the reason why I'm getting involved, because instead of being a part of the problem, I want to be part of the solution, and I want to raise this, you know, to your attention, and hope that you guys will look into this. Thank you.
All right, Khalil.
Hey, sorry. I'm gonna briefly unstack. I'm gonna ask one of my other Cs to help facilitate. There's a potential minor family thing on my end, but I'll be back.
Robert, Stack.
Thanks, Jazz. So again, there are several worthy issues being raised, as Mel pointed to, but the issue that Theo is raising specifically is that supposedly these nonprofits are defining DSA's housing platform, yet no evidence is given as to how this is being done. The only evidence is that several members of DSA, one of whom seems to have this letter addressed to them, Sumathi Kumar, works for one of the nonprofit. Now, it doesn't say in what capacity this person is an employee for the nonprofit. It doesn't say if the person sits on the board. It doesn't say if the person makes any decision as to how the organization goes forward. Like, we can all agree, right, that the gentrification of New York City and the expulsion of its Black and other people of color, working class people, is something we strongly oppose. But what this document is doing is just stringing together a series of suggestions, right, that somehow, because these people are working in this work, that DSA's housing platform is being influenced by it. So the question is, how is DSA being influenced? So Sumati Kumar does work for UHAB, and part of what kind of drove this conversation is that Sumati gave an interview in Kings County Politics where they acknowledged working for rehab, but where they also said, and I dropped a link in the chat, that their everyday work is to do tenant organizing. Now, like, I, for example, work for the city's Administration for Children's Services, which does a host of terrible things. And several of us work for bosses where the companies do a host of terrible things, yet I'm in no decision-making power. But as a frontline worker, Theo could just as well write a resolution about me and say that, my job is somehow influencing DSA's child welfare policy. This is just not a comradely resolution. These issues can be debated and discussed, and there's no reason, I'm sorry, Jazz, I'm going to end here, that Theo could not have taken this directly to the steering committee by emailing them, as opposed to broadcasting it across several lists and now finally coming up with this resolution, which again seems out of order for this.
All right. We are almost at time for this. I'm just gonna talk myself. I want to say, yeah, sorry Theo for not getting back to you sooner on this. I should have, in terms of the proposal itself, I feel, calling on an investigation by the electeds into the relationship the DSA has with these organizations is very curious. Like the elected looking into the organizations themselves, that makes sense. But in terms of DSA looking into our connections with it, I think that's much more difficult to do. Like, as Robert said, I don't see much connection between the organization DSA and these other organizations. That said, the other stuff is legitimate housing issues that y'all have faced. And I'm not sure DSA has, and calling on the elected to investigate that is, I think, a fair point. But in terms of our relationship with these entities, I don't think that part of it is fair. And with that, we're probably at time. So we should take a vote on whether we want to endorse Theo's proposal. I will post it in the chat one time, and we can have an up or down vote on it. Please say yes if you are voting. If you are on from your if do not say yes verbally onto the Zoom if you are not on your phone. You only get one vote, whether it's by chat or by the phone. So everyone, please vote yes, no, or you can abstain if you are in favor of the proposal, which I posted in chat one more time, so that we could all see.
Yes.
Stack is closed because we're doing a vote.
Yes. Ms. Bloodman?
All right, last call for votes.
Yes. Ms. Bloodman, could you hear me?
Yes, I got you the first time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, from what I can tell, that passes 9-7 yes in favor of the proposal. So we'll make a mark of that on the agenda. And then with that settled, we can return to our previous agenda item of the Justice for João Pedro. Do we have the speaker ready for that?
Hello, yes, I'm here.
All right, thank you. All right, you can
Thank
take
you.
it from here.
Thank you. And Jazz, I will talk to you on the side then.
Yes, I'd actually like to propose that we revote on Theo's statement resolution, just because we have, this is a big resolution, and only about half of the people in this meeting voted.
Excuse me, why should we propose that after we voted at the first and discuss it? So I follow all the rules, and I've been talking about it for so many times.
Kaylin put a motion on the floor to revote on the statement that we voted on earlier. Do we have a second? Okay, sure. I'll give it a second. And then we vote on, Khalil also second. Okay. So then procedurally, how do we do this? Do we just go into a vote, or do we vote on whether to vote?
No, let's have a discussion again then, because this is ridiculous, and procedurally, once a vote has been taken, you cannot redo a vote and redo a vote and redo a vote according. So let's discuss it.
I think you are allowed to revote votes if the body agrees to it. Is out of left field after a motion was voted on and passed. The motion has been called, but yeah, y'all feel that it has been decided on already. I agree that we would want more participation on a statement like this, because like 9 people is not a good representation, but yeah, 16 out of 36 according to Khalil. So
okay, no, let's have a discussion really about what this is about. I mean, this is about people of color who are you're talking about working class people of color, and you cannot deal with this. So either do it cleanly and we discuss it truly to the end of it, because this is not the right way of doing it. And this is condescending, actually. Condescending.
All right. Any more? I think we'll vote whether to have a revote then. So all in favor of voting again, to have a vote again, we do that before we actually would do another vote.
Democracy is great. Just put that in the chat, or if you are on a vote thingy, do the voting.
Ms. Bloodman, no.
All right, just give me 1 second. I'm gonna do a count. Where is the document?
Yeah, can someone also I think there were a couple folks that joined a little later after the beginning of the call. Could we repost?
Yeah, but why do they get to vote when they come in? No, it has to be. This is highly
We're voting
otherwise
on
way of doing it.
voting on whether to have another vote right now. Okay. Oh, yeah, so that does not pass then, so we will not revote. Okay, so
Thank
then
you.
we can move on to the next thing in the meeting. All right, I have the count for the thing. All right, so next on the agenda, did we have anything else for the open comments on the caucus, or are we ready to move on to announcements?
We can move on to the announcement.
And Khalil, this discussion, we had it when we were voting because I proposed a clear definition of who was to vote.
I think though
and I
at the
brought it
same
up
time
in
there
the
are a
meeting,
number of folks.
and I was outvoted exactly.
Theo, your proposal has been, we have decided not to vote on it again, so.
Yes.
No, but I was answering Khalil's comment on the chat because this discussion.
All right.
we're not going to relitigate something that happened. So we're going to move into announcements. Yeah, I personally, I second it because I think there's a number of dynamics that like both obfuscates understanding the ramifications of this letter, uncertainty about whether someone can participate in the vote, and absence about a bunch of other context things. But that being said, went through, it is the thing. So we're gonna go to announcements. I think date is wrong for this because that would suggest it passed, but I see the first announcement is for this Black and Asian Solidarity March that says for the 11th. Did that happen?
Oh yeah, I think that's because that was on the email, and that's why.
Okay. So it did happen. It did happen already. I'm confused. I'm a confusion. Okay, thanks, Mom. Yeah, what's the deal with that?
Okay. The next upcoming event is, as mentioned, the Mass March and the Marshall training. And on the 24th, we have the 5 Borough Tour, the tentative date. We will send out an email with more information on that. And our November meeting will be on the, one second, third Thursday. That is the 19th. I will share the Action Network link on the chat in just a moment. Okay, so I'm sending it out. We finally got an Action Network, so we're going to start doing our general meeting signups through that. And that should hopefully make things run more smoothly and have better info set because you have to sign up before you go in. And we'll probably do that in the emails as well. I just posted it on the chat. Our next meeting again is the 19th at 7 p.m. And do we have any other announcements before we adjourn the meeting?
Well, I make a proposal that we adjourn the meeting.
All right, second. All right, thank you everyone for coming out. Appreciate you all for taking your time tonight. Please remember to sign up for the upcoming events. And
Wait,
also,
I was on stack. I thought
sorry about.
I thought we chose not to revoke Theo's his motion, and we were going to discuss that today. Is that not being discussed today?
No, it's over, Mel. It's
No,
done.
his motion passed, and his motion passed.
So when will that be discussed?
It's over.
We
It's
discussed it earlier in the meeting. That was the first thing we discussed in the meeting.
Okay. And why was there a vote to revoke it if it was discussed? I just want to understand the procedure here as a newcomer.
When someone puts forward a motion, we have to vote on the motion. There was a second to the motion, and that motion was failed. So it was discussed. The motion to have another vote failed, so it went through.
So then when is it going to be discussed?
It was already discussed.
So something that was already discussed was voted on to be revoked.
You are currently extending the meeting to repeat the thing 4 times.
Because I don't understand it. It just sounds stupid to me.
But what Jazz was saying happened was someone had motioned to circle back to the proposal we voted on. You have to get a second to do the thing. So then we had to vote on whether to vote, and that failed. So that proposal's done. Then Theo motioned to adjourn the meeting. It also got a second. So we're packed in.
So
Jazz,
I
will.
don't think this is the proper platform to probably bring these issues. If you guys are holding a personal vendetta against Theo and going to block every motion, this caucus isn't the right caucus to support people of color and things that affect them adversely. So I just see the bureaucracy here.
So with all due respect, comrade, it's just I'm still learning them rules of Robert. But I think, yeah.
I will discuss this.
But anyway, thank you all for coming. Keep up, join the Slack, and keep up with the updates. Please come out to the March this Saturday and the Marshall Training Sunday. And I hope to see y'all on the national call on the 28th. Take care.
Thank you.